butterflies, black, white, red, and gray. And this is a book about pathological liar, and pathological lying falls under gray lies. So anyways, here goes. There are 7 chapters that I have to read tonight. They'll go pretty quick, so here goes with the introduction. Oh, the fabrication, the fibs, the storyteller's demise. Yet it was the start of a grand reprise, the unfolding of secrets in disguise. Because in her web of lies, the truth that was disclosed unveiled an assault that was imposed. Sarah's love set aside with Eve's kiss goodnight. I do not recollect, I only remember neglect. With each imaginary friend, a gentleman noticed a trend. No matter how her web was spun, she was a damsel who seemed to succumb to every man with no good nature in sight. Still the gentleman loved her despite how well her story held together like a dove in flight. 1. The beginning. So it began with humble heartache, ridicule, its everlasting oppression, the impression of inadequacy, and the quest for harmony. The storyteller thought if she could only sing like a sparrow, maybe somehow she could fly on its wing. With every note passed, her heart longed for a friend to hear her at last, a note of her own, a way to feel not so alone. Number 2, the attempt. The gentleman's embrace, the sadness on the storyteller's face. I need to tell you something. Inside he knew the words she was about to spew. Whatever it is, whatever you have to say, I will love you anyway. He leans back in his chair, takes a breath, the fear sets in. He hopes he believes his own words. He has to try, tells himself he doesn't need to know, no matter how full of remorse she feels. I can't, I won't, I don't know how to tell you the truth, but the guilt, it's built in my voices, my choices. My life is a lie, and I can no longer live with my poor decisions. And what I'd like to say has consequences. I can't. He leans forward, pulls away from his desk, faces her. He looks for her eyes, but they are in disguise behind her hands full of lies. Trying to let go with legs crossed on the floor, she pulls her hands to her knees and meets his gaze. She struggles to breathe. Tears fall and her voice is stolen. Silence choked up by her emotion. He panics a bit but uses his wit. The gentleman refuses to hear about what's troubling his dear storyteller. It won't be her demise. He swivels his chair, quickly turns, pulls open a drawer, grabs a notebook, a pen, and what hope he has left. If you can't speak, tell me on paper. He is so shaken, hands her the notebook and drops the pen, her voice. She's on the floor, it falls by her hand, a quick sorry spills from his lips. Notebook now at eye level, a gentle man, a gentle hand, the book, it falls in her lap. The storyteller gasps for air, her last breath before she opens her eyes. So blurry from tears tangled, falling drops and mangled thoughts. The storyteller scribbles down her secrets bound by spirals now with shaky hands. Her heart demands relief from self-imposed grief. There it is on pages with lines, the admission of the deepest lies. It's why she takes the title, the narrator's top choice for polite terms of endearment. 3. The vulnerable. 13-year-old dreams and slumber parties would be the death of me. The storyteller's accidental interview went askew. Late night discussions with Divine about things we usually hide. The heart-to-heart was simply deception from the start. A long drawn-out story about a boy who used her as a toy. So let's talk about the truth. What came out of Divine's mouth was unconsensual, unconventional. The intentional advances from a grown man who, under the circumstances, was one of her mother's significant others. The storyteller's guilt was very delayed. Over the years, Divine made her feel betrayed. However, the storyteller never told the secret, and that's a guilt she'll always hold. Number 4, The roach. The roach, completely misunderstood, cut the storyteller some slack. As a matter of fact, the roach had a heart, completely overworked, for fundamental discipline. The storyteller saw the little roach at her little desk, teaching English to the rest of the students who put her through the ringer, left her to hang out in the hall on a wire to dry. The class, the devious bunch, the storyteller didn't fit in, antagonized by Glory's grin. Glory said, "You've got no guts, you spineless little putz." Glory pushed the storyteller around, and without a sound, the roach runs fast from the chalkboard to the lecture-style chair. She grabs Glory by the arm, meaning her no harm, and stands by the storyteller. Roach says, "Now, Glory, look the storyteller in the eye." The storyteller starts to wonder why, so Glory gives the storyteller an evil grin as the roach lightly grazes the storyteller's shoulder. She wears her heart on her sleeve, but see, Glory did grieve the loss of her father. Her uncle departed. Glory's anger, her outbursts indeed, were directed at the storyteller and her need to be authentic. And the storyteller took her cue. With words, she did imbue herself with notes from fabricated friends. Number 5, the addict. In perfected dishonesty often comes an internal monologue of false character. The ecstasy she had in the appearance of intoxication. So the storyteller saw all the disgraces done in the name of substance abuse. She saw the slavery, a girl named Epiphany overcome by anguish, searching for answers in inebriated defense. The storyteller always played pretend. "It's easy," she said, "when everyone in the room has succumbed to a drugged doom. It's easy to tell a tale, to be the addict. Then when you've never used, it's even easier to become the recovered." Now she's discovered she's not simply a tall tale, but an actress too, trying to inspire Epiphany to sober up, to leave the bottle, become the heroine, and leave the heroine behind. Number 6, nobody's home. Midnight dreams turn to 3 a.m. realities. She trails down the corridor, fuzzy walks and failed light switch leaves her in the dark liminal space between her bedroom and the kitchen sink. The light shines from the bottom of the bathroom door. Left ajar, she peeks inside after the sound of sobbing, and nobody's home. She's alone with a brain-sick unknown. The storyteller reaches her last stop before arriving to the kitchen sink to grab a drink. But there she stands in the dining room, nearly 9, finding herself pulling loose her mother's noose. Midnight dreams, 3 a.m. realities. Nobody's home. They say the lights are on, but nobody's home. She's alone with a brain-sick unknown, pulling loose her mother's noose. And it's on repeat. You know it's on repeat in her miserable mind.